How you doing? Well, this is more of a update and a PSA thing going on. The PSA is watch out for this group. They call themselves the Satanic Bible Study. Why you gotta watch out for them? If you know more than 5 pages of the Satanic Bible, they'll have an inferiority complex. They'll call you fat. They will ban you. Don't ask me how. So, yeah, another group, another notch in the belt. In any paradigm that has a new member, a lot of the times when they read something, it becomes gospel. It's because they're grasping onto something new with intensity. So you see it with the witches, you'll see it with the pagans, you'll see it with the druids, you'll see it with the Satanists, you'll see it with whoever. I mean, they grab it, and every book they read, it becomes gospel. Even if by general consensus of the members thereof, or people have been practicing it for 20 or 30 years, no, it's more of a stepping stone. It's not the church. So when you deal with someone who is new, they're gonna have some issues or luggage. A common term for a lot of people is fluff bunny, which means that this, what I just described. Everything's gospel to them. They feel as though they know it, they're it, and they don't have any real wisdom behind their underneath their belt for actually practicing what they learned, because they don't know how to. That's where where it counts. So my thing was, I was in this group, and I found that out of my 5 channels on YouTube, 3 of which had, from 2 years ago to now, a response video for this particular group. And there's always this one loudmouth there. His name was Noel. He went off and he would talk about how he would yell and scream about he hates Christians or Christianity. Well, I have my Christian video. Basically, even the more you talk about them, the more it's about them than it is about what the group's focus is, right? So I went off, posted that up. I posted up all these different videos for different rants and raves this guy was doing, and I get a personal message, kind of like a Facebook email, telling me to go take my medication, you moron. So I screen picked it, posted it up. But hurt anyone? It's my tactic. Basically, you can have a pissing contest. I can say this guy said that, and you can go, well, he said this. If you start screen picking shit, your integrity gets a lot better and bigger than someone who is popular. I mean, people are popular for a reason. They're well liked, whatever it might be. In a popularity contest, I try not to be. I'd rather be a voice of reason and logic than sitting there blowing smoke up everyone's ass. So when people are out there in the popularity scene, more power to them. Eventually, it'll catch up to them. So, well, the reason why, because if you're popular, great, but if you're just popular for the sake of being popular, kind of like Paris Hilton, you'll always be renowned for your porno video, but you won't be renowned for anything other than that. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but if you try to strive for something that's more legitimate in business, you always will be reminded of your porno video. So, in this case, this guy was bitching about Christianity. So I told him, why does he care about a paradigm that's not his own? I went down the whole list of basically keeping focus on yourself and personal evolution. He didn't care for it, but that's our paradigm. It's about self-growth. Granted, if you came from a Christian church and you became a Satanist, you're gonna, but same thing can be said for the witches and everybody else. You belong to a Wiccan group, you're from Christianity, you would be very defensive against anything that dealt with the Christian church because, you know, how they were. So again, it's unilateral first year membership or you know, apprenticeship of the new belief system. So when I dealt with a group, from the looks of it, it was a clique or a sect. It was more like, you know, it was a Church of the Black Fist of some sorts. And you know, and it was their meeting to go off and study this book. Boom. That was like my 12th or 15th copy. I buy a couple a year from time to time. Either send them out as loaners, or I just, you know, you read it until you burn it out. But it's a reference, like I said. It's the first paver to a road of life, if you would, if you make it so. But it's not the church itself. You know, it's just a stepping stone. And the funny part is when you got the people out there who are contradicting it in a 180-degree angle. They're just, you know, they're just totally doing something that's anti-self-progressive. Now, it's kind of entertaining to call them out on it. It's like, wow, what have you been doing with yourself? Well, you know, why are you kicking a dead horse? And they didn't know how to handle it. So I got the personal message saying get back on my medication, and then I went to ad hominems, or basically they were saying, you know, you're fat. So when you have people doing that, my flag kicks up, says winner, because they ran out of anything intellectual to say to me, and they you know, went to name calling like a 3-year-old. So after posting up the screen pic asking butt hurt anyone from the screen pic of go take your medication, you moron, you know, my stay there was shortly lived because the person I was fighting was the admin. And I wasn't even really fighting. It was just kind of tongue-in-cheek humor with my end. That's the thing. When you're dealing with people who are new to the belief system that you're in, I think a lot of them, especially with left-hand path, is that when you're dealing with something with self-empowerment, it's a balance. It's not about how much rule or control you have because you left that environment. It's about balancing yourself and controlling the environment around you. And these people don't get it. And it is amusing to a point, but it was a good example of the living example of what not to be doing. You know, and a lot of people in that group actually agreed with me. So it is kind of funny, if not amusing to to the end. I don't know, but I figured it was worth sharing. So if you ever go to the Satanic Bible Study Group, you know what to expect. So don't show up with too much of intelligence. And when you see someone singing to the choir way too many times, and you call them out about it, they might be a little touchy about it as well. But it's okay. It's worth sharing. Like I said, the PSA thing, you know, because I don't know how legitimate of a group it was. There was about 40 or 50 people. A lot of the groups I belong to have anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000. And you know, and like I said, when my video series can rebuttal almost every post there, it kind of shows you how elemental they are. So anyways, food for thought. Just a PSA about the group, and also more about a mental awareness of the people around you. You know, how new are they? How experienced are they in their belief system? You know, people can be well read, but how much of an application have you put yourself into in what you're doing? You know, how do you apply your belief system in the real world and in your life? So, you know, that's what it is. So this is my Satanism channel on the Rev.Ronald French section, because, you know, it deals with the left-hand path, but it does also deal with your fluff bunnies, it deals with your noobs, it deals with people who just have no fucking clue, but feel as though they're going to make a mark, and well, quite frankly, you know, they're going to be covering over other marks that says I was here, you know. So we all been there, I suppose. It just it's funny when you see it firsthand. you know, a slight reflection of yourself 20, 30 years ago, that kind of thing. But again, that's what's going on. So I figured I'd share that with you, and you know, be aware the Fluff Bunnies are ruling. They're controlling their own destiny. They're making groups, and if you have anything to say, they might fight you on it. And you know, it is amusing. I didn't know the guy was an admin until after the fact, and I was like, oh great. Well, let's go out with the bang. Call him a simpleton. Bye, Ron. Off I went, and you know, no, I'm a member no more. But that's okay. I'm, like I said, I'm kind of a member of over 600 different groups just in Facebook alone. Then I go off outside Facebook, and then you know, I deal with other different other levels of how you deal with people. And it's a good mental exercise to be diverse, because if you don't surround yourself with different people, you won't have a comparative introspective. And that's another reason why I do what I do. Because if you know, okay, I've been in this route before in my early 20s, everything he's saying is, you know, everything's reading is gospel, and the reason why it's gospel is because if you haven't lived it yet, you have just the words to go by. And then when you realize that practice trumps theory, then you realize that anything you read that used to be gospel is now guidelines. It's like, oh, okay, it's an interesting perspective. You do a mental note and you move on. So you're never holding on to the words. You actually recognize the words in an event where you remember them, because the event, the words are a reflection of the event that you experienced. So yeah, it's all about personal evolution. Apparently I stepped into like the first year group of Satanism, apparently, because that's what they were acting like. Very much so. So food for thought. So again, every negative thing that happens in one's life, or can be conceived as negative, you can turn it around and make it a benefit for yourself, and then ironically even for others. So I'm just sharing my experience with you. Take care, and bye for now.